It's reminding me of Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard, but like actually good.
And I'm heading into town to meet up with Cara from Caras Bookshelf.
Wait.
I don't know what side is good and what side is bad. Buffy is a lifestyle, guys.
Yikes.
So I am currently 164 pages into The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington? Still have not looked that up, but this is the first book in the Lycanius trilogy. It is a very popular adult high epic fantasy that has been recommended, or that I see recommended a lot for fans of Brandon Sanderson, and only like less than a quarter in, I can definitely see why. We have a very accessible writing style, a very easy to understand magic system and world, and enough to keep you invested even though it's going to be a chunky book. Because like I feel like when I go into a book this size, I'm expecting the pacing to be quite slow, and I have been told that this is a quick read, but like when you're telling me a 700-page book is a quick read, I am not believing you. But it's true, or it seems true so far. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm getting through it at like a decent pace. But this one is set in a world where there was this like godlike being called an Augur, or like loads of them, and they had the ability to read people's minds. I think like it's very unclear because it's kind of not spoken about anymore, so I don't think our main characters actually know the specifics of the Augur's power. But there were also people called Gifted, and at the moment I'm still like unsure exactly how Gifted and Augurs are related, but they had more physical magic, so they can turn something called essence into a physical magic, like as an offensive or like to make a shield and things like that. So before our main character Davian was born, there was a war, all of the Augurs were wiped out and the Gifted were enslaved, and Davian himself is actually gifted, and he doesn't really understand why he has to live his life to these standards that were laid out before he was born that have absolutely nothing to do with him, which I feel is pretty fair, because some of the rules for Gifted is that they can't go out without a shackle that like strips them of their power, they can't harm anybody else even in self-defense, and they are hated by everyone. So the Gifted are sent to schools, I think, when they're discovered to be gifted, and they have to pass something called the trials, and Davian is terrified about his trials because his ability is not like the other Gifted. He has the ability to tell when people are lying or telling the truth, and his like physical element of his power has not manifested at all. So the day before his trials, Davian is approached by an elder who says that he knows that Davian is an Augur, which is something that is punishable by death, and he tells Davian about this big barrier to the north that has stood for like 2,000 years, but it is weakening and it holds all of these monsters at bay, and he says that they know the way to fix this barrier, but they can only do it with an Augur's magic. So he gives Davian an artifact and tells him that he must go to the north and fix this barrier. So Davian makes his way with his best friend and this artifact, and of course the journey isn't going to be smooth. There's a whole ton of other stuff going on in here as well. We have a secondary perspective, which is a girl called Asha, who was also like one of Davian's best friends at school, and she kind of ends up on a very different path after an event that happens at this school. And yeah, overall I'm just having a really good time with this right now. I'm not sure how much I'm actually going to get read today because I would like to get through another chunk, but it is House of the Dragon Monday, and also the new episode of The Walking Dead is out tonight, and I would also really like to finish The Midnight Club because I only have 2 episodes of that left as well. And then of course this is my first night home after pet sitting at my dad's for the weekend, so I just kind of want to get a bath and also go to sleep because the dogs have woken me up before 7 a.m. both of the mornings that I was there, and a girl normally doesn't get out of bed until at least 7:30, like that is my earliest point, and on Saturday morning they had me up at 20 to 7, so I just really want to get some sleep. But I did come home to a Waterstones parcel, and as we all know, I have an ongoing saga with Waterstones about a massive order that I placed that they've pretty much sent me nothing out of it so far. I think I've had 3 of like 15 books, and yeah, some of them were pre-orders, but whenever we get a Waterstones parcel, like I have no idea whether it's a pre-order or something from that massive order that I placed now, I think 3 months ago. It was sometime around the end of June, I think. So my guess for this one could be an indie, could also be possibly, I think, The Golden Enclave by Naomi Novik has been published. However, I can't remember if I pre-ordered it, so I guess we're gonna find out. I knew it. This is the final book in the, what is it called? The Scholomance series, which is a magic school series that I both love and hate, and they frustrate me to no end. So in this, we're following a girl called Elle who is sent to this magic school that all magically gifted children are sent to, because out in the world there are tons of monsters called Maleficara that want to eat them. So they're sent to very secluded schools that are trapped behind magical wards for their own protection, and the entirety of the time that they're in this school, like however many years it is, they can't leave and they can't have any contact with the outside world because it's incredibly dangerous for them. And then while they're at this school, they learn the skills that they need to be able to survive Maleficara in the real world. So Elle goes to this school and she's not a privileged kid. She's very standoffish. She hates everyone. And to get out of the school, you need to either join an enclave or build an alliance to be able to fight your way out through the graduation hall that's like full of monsters due to like a malfunction in the school's wards. Throughout the first book, we follow Elle as she is trying to make friends, essentially, when she's incredibly standoffish. And I do really like the kind of concept of this, the setting and the characters, but I hate the writing style. So all of the books in this series so far have been a solid 3-star for me. So much potential. The writing style is trash. And this is the final one in the trilogy, which is the Waterstones exclusive edition that I probably ordered for this sprayed edge. So I don't know, maybe I'll read this soon because this is the final book in the trilogy. So it would be a series that I get to check off my list, which actually thinking about it, after October, there's only 2 months until the end of the year. So I want to kind of prioritize reading the last books in series that I have open so that I don't have to carry them forward into next year and I can like tick them all off my series list.
I know you needed me, but I needed you more. When did this love become about keeping score? I don't know, but I'm trying to figure this out on my own. Take me to paradise and call me back home. Make me feel young again.
So Patreon sprints tonight ran longer than I expected them to. The last sprint was like 55 minutes. So it's 11:30. I've been up since 7. Very much want to go to bed. Before I do that, I need to take off all my makeup, floss, also lint roll my Monstera because I have a thrip infestation and it's killing my plant and I'm devastated. So I need to do something about that. I also need to put Brie to bed because she's asleep here next to me in a minute. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I am now 308 pages into The Shadow of What Was Lost. And actually I've already forgot when I finished that last sprint. I have like, this is the last page of this chapter, so I wanted to read it and I've already forgotten. I am tired. I feel like you can tell with my voice. But I'm really enjoying this so far. It's reminding me of Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard, but like actually good. And that has also made me realise that Realmbreaker is a very like, I got it, I understood this when I was reading it, but I feel know how to articulate it. But it's a very classic quest fantasy plotline, like very Lord of the Rings, like character sets out on a purpose and people join them until there's like a band of characters, and this is doing the same kind of thing. So we have Davian who is heading out with his friend in this artifact to go repair this barrier, and along the way he picks up more and more people until there's like a group of them that are all going on this mission. I will say that plot is not super predictable. I'm seeing what James Islington is doing like straight off within the first 50-ish pages. I knew that one of the characters we've been introduced to had like an alter ego, and I knew not exactly who he was, but I knew exactly what type of character his alter ego was, like his position in the world, if that makes sense. And I also have an idea of what's possibly happening with a different character. So I'm very much seeing like the same kind of things that I've seen before in fantasy in this, tropes that I can, I guess, kind of easily guess, but that isn't like ruining my enjoyment at all. The only real criticism I have right now about the way that this is written, I guess, is that there's something in this world called a shadowed, and it's normally if you're gifted and you break the law or for like various other reasons, but it's normally if you do something bad bad, you will have your power stripped. So they put like a disc on your neck and it draws out all of your power, and you get like, you turn into Dark Willow and you get like black veins down your face and you're shunned from society. So this is like the bottom rung of society, and one of the characters that we follow in this book does end up being a shadowed, and they're kind of introduced to a person who's in a position of authority that you would usually look down on somebody who's shadowed, and it kind of explains why this person doesn't. But at the same time, this person kind of brings the character in and tells them a lot of classified information, which I understand why they're trusting them and also why it's kind of like happening. But I can't remember how old the characters are, but I know they're all kids. They're all like teenagers. So I feel like the main cast of characters whose perspectives we're kind of following the most frequently are being trusted with information from people who are in like a higher position in society or are more experienced or wiser than these main characters. And I don't feel like the reasons for that is being explained. Like the adults in this book are being very trusting, and she's dreaming, bless her. Baby. The adults in this book are being more trusting, I guess, kind of treating the teenagers more like equals than I would expect, given the fact that like some of the adults, or like I think all of the adults that I'm thinking about right now, are kind of influential or like important characters in some way. And I'm just finding the way that they're interacting with the teenage main characters of this book just a little bit odd, but I'm really enjoying it. The plot continues to thicken. I'm seeing where things are starting to link up, but I feel like I understand why people, I think, want to read this series back to back, because there is a lot going on here. There's a lot of like plot threads everywhere leading to the history. We've also got like a little bit more to do with time happening, like where I'm up to right now. So it is something that, because it's being introduced not rapidly, but because I'm very new to this world, not all of the information is sticking, and I know it's only going to get kind of more complicated as we continue. I've actually filmed my October TBR, November and December TBR today, which you guys are actually going to see this vlog before the TBR, so I won't spoil it. But I do want to read the sequel to this in the next couple of months, and it's going to be, it might not be challenging, but I'll have to definitely prioritize it. And I'm still mood reading throughout November and December, so I'll want to like make sure I'm in the mood for it. I feel like I'm being very prematurely invested in this series, but I am just generally having a good time. So unless it suddenly gets very, very boring or something drastic happens, I don't think my opinion is going to change too much between like here and the end with me like enjoying it. That being said, there's still 400 pages to go, so a lot could happen. I've also been playing a little bit of the Disney Dreamlight Valley update today, like the villain event, and also it's the first big like update to the game, but I think I only played for like 45 minutes and I had internet connection issues, so I didn't make a great deal of progress. And while I was doing that, I keep forgetting to mention, actually, I'm listening to the full cast audiobook for ACOTAR. It's not something I'm going to talk about a great deal while I'm reading it, because it is a reread for me. The only reason why I'm listening to the audiobook is because we have like the full cast audio now, where like every book is split into like 2 audiobooks that have like, is it graphic audio? And it's a full cast, and also like sound effects and music, kind of an abridged version, because it strips words out. Like it doesn't say Feyre said, the voice actor for Feyre just says, if that makes sense. So I wanted to experience the graphic audio, and it's a book that I've read I think like 5 times, so it's not like I actually have to pay attention to it too much. So I have been listening to it like when I go out and if I'm walking the dog without Curtis, when I'm doing stuff like playing Disney, because I don't need to focus. Disney Dreamlight Valley is a perfect audiobook game, probably better for people who listen to more audio than me, because you know how picky I am and how I can't retain information when I have it orally. Is it orally? You know, like through the ears. So yeah, I have like 3 hours left of that, so I think I'm like halfway, which means that in terms of the book, I'm like a quarter of the way through the book, because each book, like I said, is split into 2 audio.
There's some things you can't control, but I think I know a thing or 2 about love, 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 love. They steal it when you need it, and they give it when you don't. Love, 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 love. You know you wanna say it, but you're praying that you won't. 'Cause what if you love someone and love you they don't? Washed up on the shore with pity
So we just packed up in York and I'm heading into town to meet up with Cara from Caras Bookshelf, who is in the UK on holiday right now and has actually gotten off the train in York traveling between like London and Edinburgh so that we can hang out. So I'm really excited. And yeah, I need to go because I'm very late.
Love, 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 love. And it always keeps you coming, even when you've had it rough. What if you love someone and you're not enough?
Good afternoon. I am back home now. We only stayed in York for a couple of hours. We pretty much only went in to meet up with Cara and have brunch. I did have a cheeky breakfast mimosa as well, but it was really nice meeting Cara, and I'm glad that she managed to squeeze in a cheeky little trip to York on her trip, because obviously coming from the US, you're trying to hit a lot of places at once, and York was not originally on her itinerary. So thank you so much, Cara, for stopping by and hanging out with us for a couple of hours. But I do have a cheeky little book haul for you guys, because when we went into Hull the other day, I picked up a book and then I showed you in the B-roll, but I never like showed you, if you know what I mean. But I did, I picked up the sequel to The Shadow of What Was Lost, which is an echo of things to come. It is a similar size, which is good, because sometimes with fantasy you'll see like the second book is twice as big as the first, which would be tragic in this case because it'd be over 1,000 pages. But yeah, it's only like 17 pages longer. And I got this from Waterstones, paid full price for it. And then I found out yesterday that Orbit are currently doing a 50% off paperback sale. And this is published by Orbit, so I could have got book 2 and 3 for the same price as I paid for book 2. And then I said, never again, because it's been a while since I've just gone into Waterstones and just picked up a book. And I was a little bit put off at the fact that finding out that Orbit are doing that 50% off sale. But then when I went with Cara today, I saw the first volume of I Hear the Sunspot by, who is this by? Yuki Firmino. And as you guys know, I don't really read contemporary stories, but when I do, it tends to be in a manga format. I'm still struggling to get hold of Dreaming Sun Volume 5 since it was out of print, and I also want a manga by the same author as I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, which I think is called something like I Had That Same Dream Again. And I kept seeing it everywhere, and I kept taking photos and being like, oh, I'll look that up. And then we were going into York one day, and I remembered that I had the photo and was like, I will finally look this up. And I did find out it was by the same author as I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and I wanted it, and now that's out of print as well. Getting hold of manga is so difficult at the minute. But yeah, I've been wanting to try this one out for a while. I know Spoops from Spoopy Hall really loves it. I think G's read this one and really enjoyed it, and Ashley has as well, so I think it's gonna be one that I really like. And all I know about it is that it's one of those like heart-wrenching contemporary mangas that I really love. And I think that this one features a boy who has a hearing disability, but that's pretty much all I know about it. So we are going to go and take Brie for a nice long walk. She was supposed to come with us into York today, but alas, the baby is still suffering with travel sickness. So I really was hoping we got her some travel sickness tablets that we gave her this morning, hoping that they'd help. Didn't help, so we had to bring her home. And next week, we're going on a long drive. She's going to be in the car for at least 2.5 hours, maybe 3. And I'll be on my own. I'll be driving. She will be passengering. And I was really hoping that travel sickness wouldn't be a thing, that we would have been able to fix it by now. I've tried cracking a window. We've tried Travel-Ease, which is the travel sickness tablets that we just got. The only thing that I haven't tried really is the actual medicated travel sickness tablets, which I have spoken to the vet about, so that's a possibility. But like, I'd like her just to not be travel sick. I know sometimes that isn't a reality, but that's what I would really, really love, because we didn't take her out with us. She'll be going for a long walk. And I was going to read until then. I have like 300 pages. Oh no, I want this book done this week. And I think I still have 300 pages of The Shadow of What Was Lost left. But I also really need to hoover, because I'm looking at the floor and there's just bits of fluff and things that Bree's like shredded, all within the last like 2 days. So yeah, I need to pick everything up and also hoover. I'll show you. There's just bits of toy that's been ripped up. Like most of this was this morning. She's had a tissue this morning, and also she stole a plastic bag this morning. Oh, yikes. I guess the plan is to clean up all of these bits of debris, hoover, and then read when I get back from the walk.
Oh, and when a heartbreak sets in, yeah, you can't breathe. promised together for a lifetime apart. And I wish I could explain it, but I guess I don't know anything about love, 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 love. Some people don't believe it, 'cause
Good afternoon. I am sadly not here to tell you that I finished The Shadow of What Was Lost, but I am here to tell you a little bit about something that I really feel is integral to how much I'm enjoying this book. I forgot to mention it the other day, but I really feel like it's worth mentioning. So I'll tell you how much I have left first. I'm on page 540, so I have about 150 pages left. It's 4 p.m. It is Sunday, but I have decided to work. I didn't really decide I had to work today because I didn't have a video ready for 6. I'm now at the point where I've like edited, uploaded that. I just need to proof it and get it scheduled. And I do have the Buffy watch along. We're watching the movie, which is a prequel to the show tonight at 8 p.m. like with my patrons, so I have that going on today as well. But in between all of that and also the workout that I want to do, hopefully I will have time to finish this book. But something that I'm really enjoying about this is that all of the characters, or I'm not sure about the main characters as in like the teenage main cast, like all of the 3 children or teenagers that were students at this school right at the very beginning. I feel like they're excluded from this, but everybody else, all of the adults in this book are working towards their own agenda, it feels. I, in general, pretty much take people on their word. I'm always disappointed when I find out that somebody has lied to me, because especially when it's something that, you know, like doesn't really serve a purpose to lie about. It's just, it doesn't, and it doesn't make any sense. When you're being presented with information in this book, you kind of trust that the person telling you the information is telling you the truth. But increasingly throughout here, I have been discovering that people just generally aren't telling the truth. Like everybody is serving their own agenda, and if they're not outright lying to serve their own purpose, they are omitting information to make the main characters or hide things from the main characters. So since the first instance of it happened where I kind of realized that the character was a bit sketch, I now no longer trust anybody, so I'm very wary of all of the characters. The main characters haven't come to the same conclusion that I have yet though, and they're still like trusting who they trust, etc., unless they have like a reason not to. But I no longer trust anybody in here, and what this is resulting in is a lot of grey morality, because while I don't know for sure, I don't know the payoff of a lot of the things that are going on here, some of these characters I would say are definitely not necessarily bad people, but there is obviously a reason why they're lying or withholding information, and I don't know what that is. I also don't know at this point, because the plot keeps thickening and thickening. I don't know what side is good and what side is bad. My favorite character in here, I won't give any context, but I will let you guys know that my favorite character in here is Caden, and if you've read this book, you probably know why my favorite character is Caden. It's a very me favorite character to have. That is a perfect example. Caden is a perfect example of how there's possibly blurry lines in here and like a reason why I don't know who's good and who's bad. We have like a system of oppression in here and like real prejudice against the gifted, and we have characters who suddenly changed their mind and decided they don't hate the gifted anymore, but I don't know if they don't hate the gifted anymore or whether they're pretending not to hate them for a particular reason. We have like mentor style characters throughout here that are withholding information from the main characters and seem to have kind of like pushed characters into positions to further whatever it is that their agenda is. There's people who we previously thought were on like the bad side now asking characters to join their cause because they're telling the characters that they've been lied to. And essentially it is a series of characters presenting information that you kind of take them at their word, and then somebody else comes along and says, well actually this person has lied to you, and it's like, do you trust the person you know, or do you trust this new person that you don't know the background of? Like everything is unreliable, like you don't know what's true, which is interesting because Davian, or Davian, our main character, his first ability that he noticed is the ability to tell when people are lying. So it's really interesting that a big key theme of this, and one of the things that I'm really enjoying about it, is that you can't trust anybody because you don't know if anybody's lying. And there's this big grey area within Davian's ability as well, where like if somebody believes that they're telling the truth, he wouldn't be able to tell that they were lying anyway because they don't know that they're lying. if that makes sense. So yeah, I just wanted to touch upon that before I got to the end of this story, because it is something that is like hooking me and keeping me interested throughout this book, because I'm like on edge. I don't know who I'm trusting. I'm gathering information to try and like see who I can trust, and so far the results are inconclusive. So cool story. I could have finished my book yesterday after we watched the Buffy movie, but we've actually started another Buffy watch along from the beginning. So if you missed my Patreon Buffy watch along the first time around, we are going to be starting a new one. We have started a new one. We watched the first 2 episodes last night, and then I'm going on holiday next week, so we're gonna like put it on pause until I get back, and then I'm going to start out a schedule. It's going to be a little bit different than it was last time, because we're not going to watch Angel, and also it's going to be a little bit less intense, because we were doing like 3 episodes twice a week. We're probably still going to do like 3 episodes in a session, but probably once a week, just to make it like a little bit less intense, because we have already done it before. But like the majority of the people who are taking part are the people who like participated in the first one, just because Buffy is a lifestyle, guys. Once you're hooked, you never look back. But that did mean that I didn't finish my book last night, but I did finish it today. And I just remembered, actually, I took my car to be valeted, because like I said, going on holiday, and it really needed cleaning. So I finished the book just as my car was ready for picking up, and I haven't put it through Copilot. It feels like a 4-star, but I will get like a full proper rating and then let you guys know. Okay, I can confirm the math has mathed, and it is indeed a 4-star for me. I will say that the last 100 pages of this lost me a little bit, because the way that things happen, there's quite a bit of action throughout this book. Like in terms of the pacing, in that regard, it is quite well paced in that you have slow moments, but they are quite regularly interspersed with action. But it's very much the kind of book where the action kind of can come out of nowhere in a lot of incidences, and it will kind of be like a character will have a conversation, and then it will kind of go like, and then this guy leaped out of the shadows and attacked everybody, and that kind of thing is like repeated throughout. I don't love action scenes to start off with. Some really do grip my attention, like the ones in Mistborn. Some I kind of glaze over a little bit, and because we were at the culmination of the plot in here, the last 100 pages was just a lot of action, and it wasn't doing it for me, because in fantasy I really love world building and looking for foreshadowing and Easter eggs. I would say that's probably like the most enjoyable thing about fantasy for me, and what I'm really looking out for. So the action scenes in general are not like a big part for me, but overall I did really enjoy this. I did guess the majority of the plot points in here, at least the direction that they were going in, if not the specifics. The only thing that I didn't really guess was the specifics of like the very final kind of plot twist in here, which I'm really excited to see how that plays out. And like I said, I knew the direction that it was going in, but I didn't really understand the specifics, and I love the turn that this took right at the end, and I really do want to know how that plays out, because it's going to be something that is so interesting to me, and also kind of heightens the comparison between this series and Sanderson. So I had a really good time with that. I do understand why people say, like, recommend that you should read them back to back, because it's all quite easy to digest. There's nothing overly dense about this, but during the last portion of this, we had a few extra elements added to the plot that are kind of connecting people and things together and giving you a little bit of a better depth of understanding of like what's going on in terms of like the history, whether it be legend or the most recent war, and also like certain elements of the magic. I do hopefully want to read the sequel, which is called An Echo of Things to Come, I think. Let me have a look. I think I have it here. Yeah, An Echo of Things to Come. And I mean, I hauled it earlier, so you guys know what it's called, but I am hoping to read that in November. At the time of you seeing this, you won't have seen my November-December Bookopoly TBR yet. That will be the next video that goes up. If you have seen that video by the time you're watching this, you will know why I'm extremely hesitant to say that I will read the sequel to this in November, but I am hopeful. I mean, November is generally my busiest month of the year, because I close halfway through December, because like post is slow anyway. There's no point me working up until like the 20th, so that's gonna slow me down quite a bit, I imagine. But then December, hopefully, fingers crossed, or towards the end, I'll definitely have a bit of time. So yeah, that was The Shadow of What Was Lost. I'm really excited to be getting back into high fantasy. I want to read 2 more books before the end of the month. I do have a week at the time of filming this, but next week I am going to be on holiday, and I don't think I'm going to get a lot of reading done. It's going to be a real fun time. I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. I hope it's exciting. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like yet. But yeah, I'm not sure that much reading is going to get done. So hopefully I will finish 1, possibly 2 before the end of the month, and then going into November, like, it's just high fantasy central and I am ready for it. So thank you so much for watching this vlog. As always, I do hope you've enjoyed this vlog if you've made it this far. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're a go, and nobody knows. With guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.